Time is running out. I might have to get some candy. Candy's better. Friday the 13th is scary. Maybe it'll be a good day for America. Salty and crunchy is good too. Variety, the spice of life. Okay. So I had a couple other psychotic episodes. Which one should I start with? I'm gonna say the Seattle one. Because that ends with a torture in Orange County Jail, which I don't think Mark believed. So I started seeing these signs. It was like 2 years. And everything was possible, like with human power. I know I would see these relationships between something that I would say, something that I would do, something that I would write, something that I would post, something that I put out into the world. Like I'd say dog, and then very soon after dog, I'd say cat, very soon after cat, giraffe, that kind of thing. But more complex. It wouldn't make sense if you didn't know all the backstory, and to do the backstory, this would take like 9 hours. So, use your imagination. But I was, for 2 years, it was like a horrible question. Like, who are these people? Why are they doing it? How powerful are they? How long have they been doing it? And what is the fucking purpose? And who am I involved in this fucking thing, whatever it is? It felt very important. So my Christian girlfriend from Orange County, she believed that I was being jacked by the devil. I think that's what she said. You're being jacked by the devil. I eventually did get jacked by the devil. And Jesus and Buddha. It was a good time. So I was painting in Seattle, and I was on the phone with her as I was painting. I'm a multitasker, and I was saying the coincidences that were happening. I would say I was thinking fire, and then this truck drove by with a billboard, or a sign on the side of it with these flames, and it was for a kitchen, something like food delivery. I was like, well, there's one, and then I just did another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, and I'm talking to her. And then in the middle of me telling her these stories, I was like, oh shit, I didn't say any of this. I didn't write any of this. I didn't post any of this. This was all me thinking. And there's no human agency that is capable of reading thoughts. So that's when I was like, oh fuck. Oh, neighbors are here. I'm sure I seem humble. So I was like, this can't be a human agency. And at that point, I was a hard atheist at that point. I was like, oh shit, well, there's something spooky. There's some spookiness going on. And I went totally bonkers. I got in my minivan and I floored it the entire way from Seattle to Los Angeles. I picked up 2 hitchhikers. I asked them if they, to make sure they didn't have drugs, and they said no, and I surely believed them. But we were doing like 110 on the highway the whole way down, and they seemed relatively calm. I have that effect on people. Yeah, I drove them. I was like, oh no, I spilled my water. A few hundred miles and dropped them off. And I got pulled over by the cops once. I had a cigarette. As the cop was coming over, I flicked the cigarette out the window. And this was a dry, fire hazard. And he didn't bust me for that. He didn't bust me for going 100 miles an hour. It doesn't feel like a privilege. I wouldn't call it a privilege. I'd call it a disprivilege. He should have taken me in. Yeah, so my pale white, I'm your pal, face was dude. It's a fire hazard. Flicking a cigarette. Can't do that. So I continued on to my girlfriend's house in Orange County, and I snuck in her house. I had been calling her. She's working at some call center or something, and it's like, man, I need a hotel. I need to get a rest. Feeling really bad, and it's an emergency. And she wouldn't leave her job to help me, and so I stayed up and was gross and went more psychotic. And I was looking at gun stores, and I found this one big 45. It's called something has mortar, some shit. It was a big, ugly, mean, I will kill people gun. I was low on cash, so waiting for some help. Finally, the day went by, and continued to be crazy, and she got a hotel for us, and we fucked, and she enjoyed herself. She said she did. None of the girls I fucked enjoyed themselves. It's a shame. I'm really good at it. So I asked her, I was like, I need another day. I need another day to get my head together. I don't feel right. And she's like, I gotta go to work, and I can't do this hotel. And so she went to work, and I was all alone and had no money. And if I had stayed in my minivan, well, I did stay in my minivan. The minivan was just a tool. So I went to her mom's house, and I did donut in the yard, and I threw a yarmulke that I had from crashing a bar mitzvah in New Orleans, and my driver's license and my headlamp in the donut hole I left in her yard, and ran over her mailbox. And then I went down to Laguna Beach and drove up the hills, and I put my slingshot on the dashboard, and I left my car on, and I opened the door, and I got on my longboard and went down to Laguna Beach to the highway there. I think it's Highway 1. And I was like, man, I'm gonna go to jail or some shit. I have the hospital probably, or I don't know. So I went into this ice cream store. I had no money. I threw my wallet in the yard, and I convinced this guy with his family, with my evil eye, to buy me an ice cream cone. And then I took the ice cream cone and I went into I think it's called Highway 101. I don't know. It's the big highway that goes through Laguna Beach. And I stood there in the middle of the highway eating my ice cream cone until the police came. And then they took me to a hospital for a week. And then I got into, I went into court and started talking, and that's not good. You don't let a person that's having psychosis talk in court. That's not good. They don't make sense. So they sent me to jail, for Orange County jail, for 3 weeks. I was in general population for 2 weeks, and it was very distressing because I have a hard time peeing just beside a person, and then there's no privacy there. So it's shitting, peeing, and looking at all the creeps that want to fuck you, and all the traumatized people that have been fucked, and all the sadistic guard guards. It's in dank and dark, and it's concrete and steel and smelly. So the last week I was able to do farm duty, and the Mexicans were, to do farm duty you had to be clean shaven because you couldn't be like rough, scruffy. You know, you gotta be like respectable. And the Mexicans beside me, they like, I was trying and it wouldn't work. The Mexicans beside me, they broke off the tip of the thing and they could shave themselves. So I tried to break off the tip and I cut my thumb. And then the guards came in and suicide risk. So instead of going and picking vegetables, they put me in this solitary confinement, and it was a circular chamber with cells stacked on top of each other, and it was all quadrants off, these 4 quadrants, and then a citadel in the middle with these dark panels of glass so the guards could look out and you couldn't look in, and there was a speaker. Oh, this is a fun one. I don't think I've ever even written this. I've done a lot on badheadcheese.com, which is now just goes right to Tumblr. It's a good Tumblr. It's a good Tumblr. It's a good Tumblr. So, yeah, it was suicide risk. So they took my clothes and they gave me this orange vest and no underwear and put me in this dank cell. And in the quadrants, there were these 2 tables, which didn't make any sense because it's solitary confinement and a television. And it was near Halloween. They were playing these horror movies. It was really distressing. And this German doctor came with like guards up to my door and said, if you want your clothes back, you need to take these antipsychotics. And I was like, fuck you, you fucking German Nazi piece of shit, fucking psychologist cunt. Something along those lines. And she left and punished me, you know, forced me to, because, oh, it's suicide risk. You just have this orange vest in this torture chamber. And so I was like, oh man, I'm going to Hannibal Lecter it or something. So I got toilet paper and I wrote like with, you know, I made it all moist so I could stick it to the plexiglass. And I put dehumanize. I spelled dehumanize. So like from the Citadel, they could see it normally. It was backwards for me, but for them, they saw dehumanize. And they started fucking with me through the speaker, saying like, oh, I fucked your girlfriend in the ass. Shit like that. So I jerked off and I threw the cum on the glass like you're supposed to. I saw the movies. I think it was 4 days before I took the pills. I was like, okay, give me my fucking clothes. You fucking Nazi cunt. So I broke down. I think the mailman's coming. Oh, this is embarrassing. Well, I guess there's not much more to the movie. I got out and I borrowed money from the gallery owner in New Orleans, which I shouldn't have done. I should have just lost the car or the minivan because it wasn't worth what it cost to take out of impound. But I painted her house and built a loft and all this shit. It sucked. It's all sucked. I bought a dog, or I got a really terrorized dog on the way home from Albuquerque. And it's like people like just put off their shit. And I'm garbage and disposable.